For over 1,000 cycles, the galactic Concorde thrived in peace. Dozens of spacefaring species lived under a careful balance of power, watched over by the Varn Dominion, the de facto rulers of the stars. Humanity, a relatively new entrant into this stellar community, was considered quaint, useful, but never dangerous. They had no fleets worth mentioning, no advanced military doctrine, no aggressive expansion, just traders, diplomats, and scientists. The Concorde referred to them as soft-worlders, beings too sentimental to truly fight. That assumption held until the day the Varn fleet arrived in the Sol system with an ultimatum. The Varn flagship, Tiranzul, hovered above Saturn's orbit, surrounded by an escort of 60 dreadnought-class cruisers. Their demand was simple: surrender Earth's mineral-rich outer colonies or face correction. The humans had 72 hours. Admiral Cora Threx of the Varn smiled in confidence. No human ship had ever stood against Varn warships and survived. On Earth, the United Terran Assembly did not panic. Instead, they activated Protocol Omega. In the high deserts of Mars, long-buried monoliths began to rise. On Luna, hidden hangars opened for the first time in centuries. From the depths of Titan's methane seas emerged colossal machines, silent for millennia. The stars trembled as ancient subspace frequencies, long thought extinct, were reactivated. The galaxy had forgotten one truth: humanity was not young. They were returning. In the early days of the Concorde, before the Varn took power, there had been a different age, one spoken of only in fragmented data files and forbidden archives. It was known as the time of burning skies, a period when the stars bled under the roar of Terran war engines. Humanity, once the apex predator of the stars, had vanished. Some believed they had destroyed themselves. Others thought they had simply grown tired of war and faded into myth. The truth was more dangerous. They had chosen to forget, chosen to sleep, but they had never disarmed. 3 days after the Varn ultimatum, the human response arrived not as words, but as shadows. Dozens of ships, so massive they eclipsed moons, emerged from the asteroid belt. They bore no IFF signals, no diplomatic credentials. Only ancient designations etched into their hulls in forgotten Terran runes. AWS Oblivion. WS Eternum. WS Vengeance. Ships built not for patrol or deterrence, but for annihilation. Their surfaces were layered with ablative armor, centuries ahead of anything the Concorde could replicate. Their weapons emitted spectra the Varn had never encountered. And worst of all, they were crude. Not by soft diplomats, but by echoes human minds fused with machine, preserved through eons of silence. Admiral Threx's fleet locked targeting solutions and issued warnings. The Terran response was silence. Then fire. Oblivion fired its main cannon, a singularity launcher, tearing a Varn cruiser in half by warping space-time inside its hull. Eternum followed with a storm of neutron torpedoes, bypassing shields entirely. Within seconds, 9 Varn dreadnoughts were reduced to vapor. The Tiranzul tried to retreat. It never got the chance. A Terran vessel, smaller than the others but 10 times as fast, broke from the flank. Its name was HWS Dauntless. It latched onto the Varn flagship using a magnetic tether, then deployed boarding drones, AI-controlled warriors forged from combat code lost to time. Admiral Threx, trembling in her command chair, watched as her screens went dark, one by one. Her final moments were spent not in defiance, but in awe. The last thing she saw was a message flashing in Terran Standard across the command console. We remember now. Across the galaxy, chaos erupted. The Concorde scrambled to convene. Species that once dismissed humanity as harmless now demanded new treaties. Ancient worlds shifted allegiances overnight. The Varn Dominion, long thought unassailable, fell within a week. Their homeworld, Kaol Tor, surrendered after a single Terran vessel parked itself in geosynchronous orbit and broadcast a single message: "We come in peace, but we remember war." The age of balance was over. The galaxy now spoke in Terran standard, but humanity did not conquer. They did not demand tribute nor territory. They simply reactivated their old network of sentry worlds, rebuilt forgotten stations, and resumed a long-suspended patrol known only in the Concord archives as the Silence Doctrine. What the galaxy had interpreted as weakness was in fact restraint. And what was once dismissed as naivety was wisdom earned through apocalypse. In truth, Earth had once burned with ambition, had waged wars that tore stars apart, and nearly consumed themselves in their own fury. But they had learned. When they chose to return, it wasn't to reclaim power, it was to ensure no one else misused it again. Decades later, when younglings across 100 systems studied galactic history, they asked their elders, was it true? Did the humans really hide their strength for 1,000 years? And the answer, always whispered with a mix of fear and reverence, remained the same. They didn't hide it. They buried it. And the galaxy should be grateful they ever chose to unearth it. A new peace began, not built on treaties or fear, but on the quiet presence of Terran shadows, watching, remembering, and when needed reminding the stars of what once was. Because when humanity revealed their ancient warships, the galaxy didn't just change. It knelt.